Welcome to the Chapter 18 Classification of Matter presentation. Of course, this is the narrated version, so welcome. This will be broken up into three parts. Section 1, because it's a little longer, will be in two parts. So Section 1 is now, and then Section 2, or Part 1 and Part 2. Section 2 of the chapter, this chapter only has two sections. Section 2 of the chapter will be a separate video. So let's get started. Okay, of course you're hearing the narrated version, and I will save this as a movie file, so you can pause, rewind, fast forward. You can mute the audio, especially if it's your second or third time through trying to take notes. No sense in listening to the audio more than once, most likely, so feel free to mute the audio whenever necessary. I always suggest that you would watch the narrated version because it would be a lot more like your classroom experience and may help with some of the extra content. Okay, there is a set of guided notes that can go along with this particular presentation, and it would be available on the Google Classroom. You can certainly get a paper copy if you need to from the main office at the school. Just call the school and let them know what you need, and they will make sure that they have copies available. But of course, you'll have to go pick. Okay, if you do have the electronic copy of the notes, then you could actually fill your electronic copy out as you go. You could have two screens up, kind of both not quite minimized, but smaller, and then just go back and forth between the two. Or you could actually watch the presentation and pause and then go and switch screens and actually fill out your guided notes that way. So whichever way certainly be acceptable, just as long as it works, right? Okay, in the electronic copy of the guided notes, what you're going to find is I have populated the guided notes with text boxes, and so look for, I believe, blue type is what I used. It should say type here, anywhere you can type, and just click in there. I'd erase the type here words, and that way when you type, you don't see type here every time remaining in the text boxes. And always, whenever you're doing anything with Google Classroom or with my Google Drive for Science 9, always make a copy for yourself in your own Google account. That way, you always have it. Okay, this is a copy of your guided notes, and if you'll notice, just all over the place, as often as I could, you'll see the words type here, and that's where you would insert words just like you would in class when you read the slide and you look for the missing word or phrase. And of course, they're all over the place. This is just an example, of course. Okay, now if you wanted to do this yourself, you could actually pull up a copy of the guided notes and you could insert your own text boxes. And do it that way as well. So, there's lots of options. Just make it your own and make it work for you. Okay, here we go. This is the actual then presentation. Everything before this was set up. Of course, with our student learning maps, there is a copy of your student learning map that is on the Google Drive. And you can download that, and there is a copy for printing, and there is a copy that has text boxes. Certainly, I would encourage you, if you can stay electronic and use the one with the text boxes, or find the one without and create your own text boxes. Either way, here we are. So your key learning is that all materials on Earth are made of some form of matter. Essentially, in the universe, there's matter and there's energy. And if it's not energy, then it must be made of matter, and that's quite a bit of stuff. So the question here becomes then, how is matter classified? And realize that this question will be on the test, and we will take a test on Chapter 18 for your your unit experience, even though it'll be, of course, a take-home test because you're home, and we're all home. With lesson one essential question. So this is section 1. This is the composition of matter. And the question here, how are substances such as elements and compounds, how are they different from physical mixtures? And they are very different. So that question, certainly if you can answer that question, you can address a lot of the points that will be made on the test. Okay, Section 1 objectives. In Section 1 there's a big idea, and that big idea is that matter is classified by what it's made of, by its physical properties, and of course by its chemical properties. When you're done with this section, you should be able to define substance and mixture. You should be able to identify elements and compounds, and you should be able to compare and contrast solutions, colloids, and suspensions. Okay, at this point, if you're watching or if you're using the presentation only without the narration, then this video would pop up, and I believe it automatically plays, or you click it to play. And this is a video from the Chem in 10 team, and this video runs, looks like just slightly over 10 minutes, and it's a really good video to watch. Now, of course, because this is a video that you're watching, or a movie, if you will, kind of saved as a movie file, then this video won't play. This is simply a static image, and there's nothing you can do with it. But in the Google Drive, Google Classroom, there should be linked a 3 video, like a Google Doc that would have 3 links to videos. This would be the first video. So I suggest you watch it. It's very concise, and it really explains a lot of the material that you'll find in Section 1. Okay, nothing to do on this particular slide with your guided notes. Right now you've done your student learning map, but you haven't really had to fill out anything on your guided notes except for the objectives that should have been done at the very top of your paper with a previous slide. Okay, so coming up we have a diagram. In this diagram you're going to see how matter can be classified in 2 main ways. There will be physical mixtures and pure substances, and then each of those can be subdivided. So let's take a look at that chart. Okay, this chart, you can find this in your book. It doesn't look exactly like this, but there certainly is a copy similar to this. And what you'll notice is that with matter can be separated both physically and chemically. Let's see if I can get a pointer up here. I think I have a laser pointer. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so with matter can be broken down 2 different ways. It can be a physical mixture, which is right here, just a physical mixture where you put 2 or more different kinds of matter together, but they're just there. And that can be many examples, like a bowl of Lucky Charms. That'd be a very good example of a mixture. Or it could be a pure substance, and a pure substance would be something like sugar. So if you're eating Cheerios and you want to put sugar on your Cheerios, then what you would do excuse me, what you would do is you would basically take the sugar bowl, grab a scoop of sugar, and that sugar itself would be a pure substance. Now notice that mixtures can be subdivided into 2 different classifications, which can then be further subdivided. Also, pure substances can be subdivided into compounds and elements. Okay, pure substances. So pure substances, this slide here should be the next slide and the first slide that you will see in part 2. And so this is where we will begin that discussion. Thank you. This is the conclusion of part 1, and goodness, then I will see you in part 2.